Hello everyone, in this video I'll be showing you an OP level 20 Gale build guide in Baldur's Gate 3. What's going to be fun about this is we can make him deal a ton of damage dealing with base game classes, and we're going to be starting off with the Sorcerer, a little bit contrary to the Wizard, but we will add the Wizard in later. Reason we're going to start with the Sorcerer as we can use this class to get ourselves Constitution saving throw proficiency, which is very useful as we're going to want to hold our concentration on spells. I also recommend having Mistress spells downloaded, although it's not fully required. I still would recommend it because some of the spells that we can get are great. So Shocking Grasp and Ray of Frost are two solid ones. You can also go with the Lightning Lure to pull targets a little bit closer, and also Frostbite to pull them in as well. So if you go with Frostbite, you can take off the Shocking Grasp and go for something else. Even Mind Sliver can be nice for a bit of psychic damage. And for our prepared spells, or I guess the spell slot selection, I think that Shield and Magic Missile are two really great options here. And we're going to go with the Draconic Bloodline, and we're just going to go with the lightning version of this, as this is going to buff the lightning damage that we're dealing, and then we can also just take this off. As for our ability scores, I think it's going to be best to build around our dexterity as well as our constitution and charisma. So going with a stat spread like this can work pretty solid, so that's what we're going to do. And yeah, we're going to roll with that stat spread there. However, we can also take our constitution down and put those points into our wisdom, as we can add in the Tempest cleric to make our lightning spells deal insane amounts of damage. So I'll be taking you through the full gear guide as well as combat in this video. So at level 2 we get to choose another spell slot here, and Thunderwave being a really good spell too that we can take for the pushback. However, you could also go with like the Frost Fingers. And for our meta magics, I think that the twin spell for twin haste is extremely useful. And also using something like Distance Spell to increase the spell range. For certain spells, you might just want to stay far away. And then at level 3, we get to take a level 2 spell and we get Quicken Spell. So level 2 spells, it's not a bad option to go with, even like Scorching Ray, even though it doesn't fit perfectly thematically. If you got Mistress spells, Nolix Snowball Storm can work very well. And we're going to take the Quicken Spell for the free bonus action spell casting. Now at level 4 we get ourselves another cantrip choice here with you can even go with like Booming Blade here if you wanted something a little bit closer range. And then for our spells, we got lots of options again, Hold Person being a very useful one too, because we can critical hit or help our teammates critical hit. And we're going to take our charisma up to 18 for better spell casting. At level 5 we get ourselves level 3 spells now, with Lightning Bolt being the one that we want, but unfortunately I have a bit of an issue here, so we can go with Haste. Not sure why it's saying that I know Haste when we just learned it here now, but yeah, we're gonna go with Haste. And then we get our subclass features, the Elemental Affinity, adding our Charisma modifier to our lightning damage, and we can get a resistance to a damage type as well. And for our next leveled spell, I like to take Tidal Wave if you have Mistress spells, because this is a way to cause damage and also set up Create Water for further blasting. And then at our next level you should take Lightning Bolt a little earlier, but my game's a little messed up. And we're going to go with that there. Lightning Bolt is going to be a bread and butter of our damage output mid-game. And then we also want to have Ice Storm, because this is crowd control and very useful to have it. We're going to take our Charisma up to 20 at level 8 here. And then progress into our level 9 choice with Cone of Cold, which is very powerful. I can't even understate how powerful it is. With Tidal Wave and then a Cone of Cold, you can take down pretty much anyone. And we'll take our Shocking Grasp here as we didn't take it previously. And we'll take Hold Monster, because that's very useful. Although a Fireball can also be a really nice spell to have. So you could go that route as well if you wanted to. If you didn't want to take Hold Monster, you can go there. For a meta magic, Empowered Spell, if you have the mod, is great. But even Heightened Spell can be pretty useful for setting up really any of these choices that you find most useful. Careful Spell will make it so your allies succeed saving throws against spells. If you have the Empowered Spell mod, that's a good choice here too. At level 11, we get our Free Fly. And we get the best spell in the game for our build in particular with Chain Lightning, which does 10d8 of lightning damage, which we're going to buff up really, really powerful. So here we can actually switch out and continue into another class. You could continue with another level Sorcerer if you wanted to, or we're going to take the Tempest Cleric, because this gives us a reaction to deal lightning damage. It gives us Thunder Wave, which we already have. But from the spells, we also get ourselves Create Water Command, and Bless can be really nice too, or you can go with the Healing Word for bonus action heal if someone is downed and you want to pick them back up. And then level 2, this is the biggest, most powerful ability we get with Destructive Wrath. We can use our Channel Divinity to deal maximum damage, and we also get the Turn Undead, so not really something you're going to use. And then we can also go with Sanctuary here, because Sanctuary can actually be really effective. At level 3, we get ourselves Shatter, Gust of Wind, and I guess that's if you missed your spells downloaded. And we can take something like our Spiritual Weapon, which is a really effective choice here. We're going to be blasting heavy with thunder damage and lightning damage, but lightning's going to be really a big focus of us. And then for our next level, we already have Hold Person, it's saying that we don't have it, so I don't know what's going on there. You can always prepare your cleric spells at any time. And then for our feat, we're going to go with an increase to our wisdom. So we're going with a lot of ability score improvements here. This just makes us very strong. Also get Call Lightning, which is nice if we don't have spell slots. And we get Discordant Melody, which is pretty effective as well. And what we'll be going with is we'll take our Glyph of Warding here, and we'll take our Spirit Guardians, which are two extremely powerful spells. At level 6, we get our subclass feature Thunderbolt Strike. When you deal lightning or thunder damage to a creature that is larger or smaller, you can push it up to 3 meters. Awesome. And we get to take another option with like our Mass Healing Word here being a very effective option for us. And then once we make our way to level 7, we get ourselves Ice Storm, which we already have, and Storm Sphere. So you can swap out some of the spells from the Sorcerer, but for the most part, we're going to be using strict ones here. We'll also take ourselves Guardian of Faith, which is nice for protection a bit. And then at level 8, we get our Divine Strike Thunder and another feat. So we could go with another feat to increase our Wisdom up to 18. So we got good spell casting with our Wisdom. And then you can also go with, I guess, Control Water can be kind of nice if you wanted to set up water, because that's really where we're going to get a huge amount of our damage from. And I just wanted to mention that this outfit is actually the part of the Bloodborne armor mod, so you may recognize this one. Now I have a mod that actually messes up with the Thunder Wave here, but we normally would have Thunder Wave and not this one, which is a bit of an issue I'm having with one of my mods that I've installed. But then we can also multi-class out at this point, because this is our final level. So you can stay here because this will give us the Insect Plague and the Thunder Pulse here. But we can also go ahead and add in the Wizard. Now, Wizard is not something you're going to want to use for cantrips like Mage Hand and Minor Illusion, and anything else that doesn't really use your intelligence modifier. And for our spells, we can go with like a Find Familiar. We can go with, I guess we already have Shield. Go with the spells that don't require any spell save DC, because that's going to be the best choices. But what we can do is we can actually learn some powerful spells later on that don't require ourselves to have a concentration on them. So you can see a bunch of spells. I'm not sure why it's listing out all of these, but we got Absorb Elements there. Now what we're going to want to do is learn our minor and major elementals from scrolls, so we can take that and give ourselves some extra summons. So while using the Warped Headband of Intelligence, this sets our intelligence score to effectively 16, and then we can learn ourselves the Conjure Elemental spell here, and also it would be nice to learn the minor elementals as well. We got a lot of spells here, but then you're going to go into your wizard spells, and since we have this spell, we can prepare it, and then we can also prepare, it's giving us a lot of spells for whatever reason. Mirror Image being another nice one that doesn't use spell save DC, and also Find Familiar can be good for just using it for crowd control. We'd also want to use the minor elementals as well, and yeah, we're going to go with something like that. And then for our cleric spells, I don't know why I unselected some of them, but we can also take some of the other options that we got here. So Water Walk is even a choice, Banishment, and that's pretty solid. So yeah, you can see what we got from the Sorcerer here. That's going to be our main choice as it comes from damage options. Now for gear, there's a few good ones that we can go with. I would recommend taking the Robe of the Weave if you got that. That's going to be the best in slot, but early game, really go with whatever you got. The Potent Robe is going to be a great choice as well early game. And for armor or weapons early game, you can also go with the Morning Frost. This is going to deal additional cold damage, so these two actually work together really well. Later in the game, the Heldesk Armor is the best choice because it's going to give you the survivability that you want from this. And then Viconia's Walking Fortress for the extra damage negation there, because this is going to help us out against spellcasters. So then we also got ourselves Cloak of Protection. I like the Gloves of the Belligerent Skies, Stack Reverberation, and the Evasive Shoes. However, you can also go with the Boots of Stormy Clamor to stack further reverberation stacks on the target. And also like the Snowburst Ring to create ice surfaces underneath targets, although there's a few other ones that you can go with the Ring of Regeneration for some healing. Crypt Lord Ring for a free undead spell. And you can also even go with some of the other options if you prefer different rings. But I also got, for spells, or for if we're using different staffs, we can swap over a Staff of Spell Power, which will give us a free cast. And when we use this free cast, then we can summon in a Water Myrmidon. For some reason, spell's not prepared. Don't know why it's doing that there. We can summon in the Water Myrmidon, and this is going to set up water for us. And then we can take our staff and swap it to something a little bit more effective, like the Marka Heshker staff, which also has another free arcane battery. It also gives us Kreska's favor, and then we can stack up the bolts of doom, which will give us extra lightning damage. So this becomes pretty strong because we're dealing a ton of lightning damage with this build. And I'll show off what this looks like in combat. So if you never get into a fight, precast mirror image, and I had one of my teammates precasting haste on me so that I could go in and just be a beast with our 38 armor class. So that's obviously really nice. So what we want to be doing is tidal wave is going to be one of our best options for damage. You know, I use this in a few different builds, but the reason that is because it creates water, knocks targets prone, and it creates a huge water surface as well, so that we can hit with Cone of Cold or Chain Lightning to deal a ton of damage. But I typically prefer going with a if you got a Chain Lightning first, or I mean if you got a Cone of Cold first, because Cone of Cold is going to create ice surfaces, so that we got really good crowd control that way. But we also got ourselves the Water Myrmidon here, which can also set up and blast with ice surfaces, so that's really nice. And we'll go here to hit as many as we can and spread it out. 28, 38, 26. Yeah, it hits hard. When they're wet, it deals a lot of damage. And then we got our turn here, so we can go in. We already used up one of our actions. Don't use another Ezor blast. Don't recommend blasting with that. We got some extra combatants over here now too. Perfect. What we're gonna do is I'll get into a range for a nice Cone of Cold that'll hopefully hit all these targets if we can line this up properly. Yes, we can, and hit those all. 76, 68, 76, 68, 76. Yeah, crazy. But what's also nice is since we are a sorcerer, we get ourselves Quicken Spell, and then we can also use the Arcane Battery, or we got ourselves the Chain Lightning from this here, the staff, which will give us a 45% hit chance, which is not ideal. 80% hit chance over there, so oh, I almost slipped on the ice. And Destructive Wrath, 92, 92, 92, blasting hard, and yeah, that is pretty crazy. We now just have these three here. As I mentioned, this is pretty overpowered. Lightning and cold damage being two of the best damage types in the game because they can be doubled. That just, it's easy math. If you can do twice as much damage, it's like casting 2 spells for the price of 1 spell slot, which is actually really effective. So that's why I went that route. Water Myrmidon furthers our efforts because whenever there's, oh, we saved on the command, nice, and we hit him with Reverberation. That's awesome. But the big beautiful thing about using our Myrmidon is whenever you're starting off a fight and no one's been hit yet, you can actually just use it to warp into the middle here. Since they have full health, it doesn't matter if we heal them, it'll also heal us too. But this creates water on all 3 of the targets, so we can just stop our Myrmidon there. And then we got ourselves the good old-fashioned Chain Lightning, so we'll hit them with our Chain Lightning, Destructive Wrath it. 182, 182, 182. Booyah. That is crazy. That's how you can one-shot pretty much anyone in the game with this, and it's using just base game classes. Tidal Wave obviously helps, but you can see there using the Water Myrmidon, it can also do a ton of damage. So yeah, that's an OP level 20 Gale build guide in Baldur's Gate 3. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Hit the subscribe button below if you haven't already, and I'll see you all in the next video.